Sweet. Okay, so how did you even hear about this program initially?
So yeah, I'm an active um, participant in the you know in the Singularity Net ecosystem. And so
Ah,
I have
interesting.
friends there, from the Singularity Net ecosystem, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's an hackathon." I also participate in hackathon because I feel this is the environment where I could actually test because I'm interested in startup, so I'm interested in creating solutions. So this is an environment, and this is like environment where I could actually test and my ideas. For marketing, you can get feedback and reach out to like for exposure also. And the guy knows I'm interested in also like love for participating in marketing. So he shared it with me that okay, there is a Cardano summit happening and they are hosting hackathon. And so that well, okay, let me look at it. So I joined one of the
Cool.
call and then I heard about the hub, the whole everything. I wanted participating individually, but I remember they said the whole process was like, okay, you have to go through an hub. And I found out
Yeah.
that the only active hub at that moment was Next Trend Hub, which was in Lagos, very
Yeah.
1,000 miles far away from because we are staying in the northern,
Wow.
and Next Trend in Lagos,
Wow.
they're in southwest Nigeria.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
I found out that I won't want online participation. Virtual carting don't give me kind of experience I
Yeah.
want. So I needed that okay, I need the physical activity. So that's like okay, well, starting up an hub won't be an issue because I can also be an hub
Yeah.
lead and also like I'll learn through the process. So that's how I came up with the idea of starting an hub. That's how I hear about art, the wider, the Prisma, and I'm loving the Prisma experience so far.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Cool. And yeah, that's a massive step up, by the way. So congrats and respect on that self-initiative.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Um, and also, as you said, Lagos is so far away. I was thinking, yeah, it's like totally different contexts. And a lot of our work is about place-based, everything like what's relevant in the local area. So I can see why you felt like that was important. Um, Very cool. Okay. And so how would you, given that you were thinking of participating as an individual at first, and now you've switched to being a hub lead, actually,
Yeah.
um, what would you say that difference is? What's different being a hub as opposed to an individual? What's the difference in your role?
Okay, so in teams that actually do participate in, hackathons teams that I go with on hackathon, I'm not actually developer in the team. I'm more like the project manager or the product manager, depending on what we are doing, whether it's a hackathon of, about startup, come up with your business ideas, or if it's just basic, purely technical hackathon. So most of the technical hackathon, I serve as the project manager. I don't really do much. I just coordinate the teams, having leadership roles. So for, startup based hackathons, I'm mostly the product manager. So I like, okay, let's go out and ideate. Let's do market research, bring the team together. So basically, I don't participate in the live coding, they are the developers doing that. So to me, this feels more like participating in the hackathon itself will have limited my role as a product manager, as the product manager for the team because the technical guys do most of the job.
Uh-huh.
So, but now I seem like it's like having a up lead role now. It's like I've been given a more environment where I could like challenge myself and get to experience that role of like organizing a environment, from the grassroots, it's more challenging and it's more learning experience to me than if I would have it's but because the hackathon will have been narrowed but now, as the hub, there's lots of things I have to connect. I have to So to me, the experience is it's much more better than being as a lead for an accounting team.
Okay, cool. All right. I think this is going to be interesting. This is already valuable content um to share your perspective. So I want to ask you, you said you've read the Prisma docs a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm still going through it. It's a lot of new diction, a lot of new
Yeah,
words that I have to search up the
yeah,
meaning.
yeah. Yeah, we've had the feedback a lot that it's a little bit it's not very accessible at first. Um, and so we do recognize that. And to be honest, it's almost like a little bit intentional because you do have to kind of like sit with these concepts and it requires you to sort of think differently about it, and that's part of
Sorry,
the process.
so please give me a minute. Give me a minute. I want to.
Sure, no
Yeah,
worries.
yeah. Sorry for that. I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I saw your midnight t-shirt, by the way. That's cool.
Yeah, it's one of the hackathons they gave us in one of the hackathons that I participated in.
Ah, that's awesome. I hope we're giving out Prisma t-shirts one day. Um,
I'll so much look forward to that.
will actually be a similar kind of theme. Very simple, black and white colors. I think it looks quite modern
Okay,
nowadays. But
okay,
so I wanted to ask you, given that you've read a little bit of the docs, and we can kind of work through this together. But what's some of the ways that what do you can you have you been able to get a sense for some of the principles that we're trying to come from in our work? Like as a hub, for example, um we've been repeatedly communicating this theme of like local context, place-based work. Um I'm curious, as you now look forward into the future of this process of organizing the hackathons, and like you said, you're going to be having teams form and stuff, and you're in that role of the hub where you're like seeing all of these groups emerge, and you're coordinating across them. How how do you think you're gonna um make sure that those teams are really working on local context, that they're in touch with the local context?
okay.
What would be like some of the differences in how you approach that work versus other any other kind of conventional hackathon?
Sorry, come again. Last part, I didn't get it.
What would be some of the differences in how you approach that work versus conventional hackathons?
Well, at someone that has been to different hackathon, here in Nigeria and virtual hackathons, yeah, mostly I'll be honest here because mostly what attracted me the first is just the money, the prices. But the more I keep going to hackathons, keep going to hackathons, like now the money doesn't excite me anymore because it's like there is a redundant, like repeated processes whereby and I see like most tech stack, most technology are using it as a marketing initiative for them. And
Yeah,
most of the time, when you want to get into accounting and you really want to win, there is that, even though it's short, but there's that few moments when you actually have to think of a problem, and then the inspiration comes in. But then it's being cut short because it's just an accounting, it's just for a while, and then you just have to like
mm,
submit, and most of the time you don't win, and that is the end. So it's like I always miss that short moment, when you get into the mood, when you get into that inspiration that, oh, this is actually a problem. So most regular cartons, the process is not, how I put it, is not encouraging to me, and I'm fed up of those processes.
yeah,
So because the it's just like a ceremonial activities, a ceremonial activity that people are just doing for the show. But the Prisma process is it's kind of different. The regenerative process kind of different because you actually have to go there into the community, you know,
yeah,
to speak with real people. You can't use your chat GBT. You can't go online and search for a problem and then work it forward and the think about a solution that already exists. Most of those things that people go and present in hackathon already exist. But this time around, yeah, it might exist, but there's the potential that you're actually creating a problem that is directed towards somebody because you actually spoke to them before you created the solution. So to me,
Yeah.
all this process it feels totally different, and like it's interesting to me because this time around is like, yes, I'm actually in a real world, not a simulation, because most hackathons look like a simulation. But the Prisma wider hackathon is making it more like, okay, this is actually real world. This is what happened in the real world when you're actually devising up or coming up, developing a solution.
Cool. Cool. Amazing. Yeah, definitely. And um what we're trying to set up behind the scenes, our long-term kind of roadmap, if you will, is to build out the infrastructure for these hubs so that they can actually continue to support that work that's happening on the ground. So you, Alfred, you're in a very important position. I feel like your screen might have just frozen. Yeah.
Sorry,
Hi.
can you hear me? My network went
Yes, I
blank
can hear you.
for some minutes.
No worries, no worries. So I was saying for us, Prisma, long term, we're trying to get better and better at building out the hub infrastructure. Because what we want to do is basically direct funding straight onto the ground, onto those on the ground teams. How you've identified the difference between our hackathons and others is we're not about the marketing to get people to use a new tech product and grow into conventional economic systems. What we're really about is supporting and nurturing local economy, and the hubs is like the entry point into that. So the more that the hub can be playing its role in the region, the better it will be able to kind of stay in touch with what's really needed locally and help those on the ground teams to thrive. Um, so that brings us on to the topic of our conversation, the reason why you reached out and stuff. Um, you've been trying to set up some of that infrastructure, as far as I'm aware. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So do you want to just expand on that part of the context for me? Like, what's what's your journey been so far in terms of how you're interfacing with the software that we've been offering, and what are some of the issues that you're running into?
Well, can you hear me? Can I see you? Okay. All right. So some of the issue, basically the only issue we are facing is not actually understanding the technical context or how to set up the technical part of the things, because it's based on the documentation, it's pretty simple, like it's straightforward. But I think where issues coming up is the context, like the explanation before
Uh,
that process is, for example, you have to go read the documentation and the documentation is kind of new. So it's like setting it up that, okay, this process is difficult before you now get to the documentation. So
yeah,
I think that is basically the issues most people face, is understanding the context. Like, let's say at the moment now, the problem that I'm still kind of trying to fix, which at the meeting, Carlos, like he did justice to it, he explained it, which is like, okay,
yeah,
now that the hub have set up the infrastructure, how do teams use it? Is it that each team
uh,
how to create their own repo, or like understanding how the team is, because I understand that, okay, submission will happen through ops, so it means
yeah,
we have to explain this process again to each team lead. So that particular gap might, we are trying to bring something new. If it's not made simplified, it will discourage lots of people
yeah,
not to participate. So I was
yeah,
thinking, like, okay, is this same process that we have to teach each each team leads, or we as the hub, we could handle that process for them, whereby we just
Bro.
Sincerely apologize. Like my network here is low bandwidth area, so we do face issues like this. Can you hear me now? You are muted. Okay.
Hi, sorry. Um, so yeah, I heard your question. You're basically saying, so this is quite complex, everything that we're working on, and it also feels quite different. And um, you've set up the infrastructure, but now you're like, how do we engage people in this work? And in
Yeah.
also in terms of like the purpose of it and why it's set up in this way. Um, and you notice there's like a gap in a way. There's the the setup instructions, which are like step by step, very granular level detail.
Yes.
And then there's the rest of the docs, which is like all philosophical and complex
Yeah.
um and so you're like you notice that gap, and then you also notice this uh kind of phenomena of a chain being made between the facilitators passing it to the hub leads, and then
Yeah.
you're asking, do the hub leads need to pass all of that on to the team leads as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I really like your questions, um, and it might be a surprise, but what I'm going to say is that that's actually a really, really strong indication that everything is going very well for your journey and for your process. Um,
Okay.
the fact that you're even sitting with those questions is one of the clearest signals I've had that you're really engaging with the process. I don't have uh, haven't had this kind of level of conversation with other hub leads before. So, you might have noticed in the chat when you asked your question, I was like, I really appreciate how you framed it.
Yeah.
It was because I could really tell that you've thought about these things deeply. So, um, yeah, I think everything's going really well. Is there anything? I mean, that was such a non-answer. Wait, let me see if I can say something a bit more helpful. Okay, so what's going on is that we, our role is about trying to create the conditions for you that enable you to work on systems in your local context. So that I'm phrasing that very specifically. It's not even about us having a process in mind and telling you what to do. The
Okay.
action from us to you is to encourage you to engage in your local context. So when it feels to you like you're having to figure a lot out for yourself, or maybe it's even raising more questions than are being answered, that's actually the process. And that's the start of you learning how to play that role in your local region. Um, if you engage in that, if you are able to sort of mobilize local teams to learn about their local context, what that's going to do is through the apps that we're trying to set up is you're going to be able to surface a lot of data about what makes this place unique and what's really the potential here and what are we working on to make that a reality. That then is how we're publishing a story. That's the basically the end goal of this whole process is to publish a story. But it's a story that you write and it comes from you.
All right. So, and I think this code really helped me because, before my whole understanding of it was like everything, the whole processes was already figured out. Like there is already a process that must be followed that you can't
Yeah,
keep a step. But what I'm getting from is like, okay, you guys have created the link from the facilitators to the hub leads. Now the hub leads are left with creating the link from you to your teams, to
yeah,
your communities, to your local context. So from there, you will gather enough action learning information data, and then you pass it up again to the uplets, and then the uplets pass it to facilitators. Then facilitators can kind of gather enough data, and that systems keep improving and keep going through consistent learning and information passing through the lines. So I think I really understand it now. I really understand it now.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
what what I want to ask now is like, from my understanding of looking at what is currently happening on, I feel maybe the whole apps are not fully developed yet. Am I correct?
Correct.
They are not. Okay, okay. I think that is fine. Because I was kind of scared that okay, we joined in late, and then there's lots of things that we are missing out, and we are not getting correctly because we don't know. But it seems from the process like some things like we are currently on the right track, but some things have not like yet been developed. Like
Like, what are
let's say
you thinking of? Yeah.
let's say like the because I was thinking of integrating because part of the docs I found that okay we have to bring in our communities on the Telegram, and then from Telegram our conversation happening there there's a bot that documents everything, and it seems that process was recently just developed. It seems like
Uh,
based on others presentation.
we, yeah, yeah. We've recently set up the deployment of that app, but
Okay.
we've used that app previously. Um, in your reading, did you come across the event that happened in Accra?
Yeah, as a case study, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used this bot in Accra and it was part of the facilitation process. So actually, this is interesting. In Accra, the facilitator team, so Prisma in this case, went there in person. Uh,
Okay.
there was myself, there was a colleague and two colleagues of mine. We were there in Accra in the hub. So in your context, for example.
Okay.
And we could really use the software in combination with facilitation to create the kind of emergent collective action that we're trying to create.
Okay.
Um, we can't go to every hub now in this program because for the CATS program, there's like a bunch of different hubs and we have a very finite budget. But so in that way, it might feel like a little bit disconnected. Um, to what we did between then and now is we tried to automate as much of the setup process as possible. So for you, the hubs, it can be as simple as click, click, click. You have all of the apps and you can start using them.
Okay.
And that's what Carlos has been doing a great job on, is he's been investing a huge amount of effort to make that possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a kind of process where we're just about getting it ready in time for as the teams start to arrive.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think one of the ways of fixing bugs is when it's happening. Because there are sometimes you have to develop an app and then it's been tested, maybe it's been heavily tested, maybe after 1 year, and that moment it's like you are not in the mood, or you're not presently there, creating but now due to the process of creating it and it's being used, they can figure out okay what is wrong, what is working, what's not working, and immediately enact that particular changes that need to be made.
Uh-huh.
Aside normal process that it takes time, you develop it and make sure it's perfect before you go out. But this time around, I'm seeing like more like an MVP, and through the MVP, we are developing it through the process. So I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed actually I've started building software very differently since I started learning this regenerative stuff. Before that I was in like corporate and I would do all of my testing, very properly and make sure there was no bugs in production and all of this stuff. But now, because so much of the regenerative approach is about continuous learning and these
Yeah.
ongoing, constantly evolving processes, it actually feels a lot more natural to me to be. This is going to sound horrible because I know as a software, but building in production. And like,
I actually love that.
yeah,
I actually
okay,
love that
good.
because there are teams, and why I love it is based on my own personal bad experience, because there are kind of things that, okay, we are developing something, and then you will reach out to them and they'll tell you that, okay, please hold on, it's not ready yet. They have to fix everything. And I was like, I can't wait for it, it's taking time, just push it. And by the time, okay, maybe I kind of like get on their toes and force them that, okay, let me see what you have actually developed. And to me, I found out that this is actually good to me. But just because he have the technical experience and he has seen things more better technically, so to him, he feels that it's not good and he can't push. So I feel like, okay, no, guys, anything it is, just push. Let's develop in production. We will learn through the process. Because my feel is perfect, you and then you deploy out there and find out that, oh, what you could have done is just something simpler, and we'll be okay with it. So I
Yeah.
actually love such, because I tried it myself because I'm not too technical. So maybe I will agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. And what we try to do in our events is to basically bring the development and the adoption into the same room. So then you can do rapid cycles between develop and adopt, build and
That's
test,
up
build
to
and
you.
test, build and test.
Yeah.
And like a step beyond that even is that you're forming these interdisciplinary teams. And so it kind of dissolves the very strict boundaries between this is the software department and this is the business department and those are the users
That's
out
right.
there in the real world. It brings it all together
Yeah.
so that actually you're saying communities and the technical capabilities to build tools that serve your potential and your needs, they're all part of the same process of being a community and just doing your thing and moving forward. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I feel
in that
this.
case, go on.
Please no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I would put the question back to you then. So, given we've had this conversation, how would you frame the kind of the why and the how of this software that we're trying to provide?
Okay. So on the conversation, I could say like, well, you trapped me because you made me answer my question myself. Made me answer my question like, but guiding me towards the right direction. So I'll say on the why. I think why I'm doing it is we're actually creating a tool that could use, that because there's a different case of like, okay, you have a philosophical principles like regenerative, development. Yeah, if you don't have the specific tools to be able to like execute such principles, you won't be able to get your aim or your goals. So I feel the why of the Prisma 2 is so that it could actually support the regenerative processes, you know, and because now what the regenerative processes is trying to do is like, okay, bring the developers, bring the users, bring the non-technical people in the team, and then putting them in one room. And if there is not a specific tool to be able to coordinate them, it will be a chaos because they might speak language they might not understand themselves. So I feel Prisma 2 is more like the connection between like, okay, we can now coordinate ourselves. Okay, there's the documentation, the technology, the people, because this is a perfect example. One of the questions I was thinking that the Obsidian tool, you know, it might be a technical person that might still be able to use it because it's still kind
Mhm.
of technical. You know, the whole markdown, you have to understand all this, and you have to know what kit is, you have to push and everything. So in normal word documentation, this might be taken as this might be done by the non-technical person. And so there's a kind of separation between the non-technical person because, for example, the technical person understands it perfectly. So by the time it goes to the technical person, non-technical person to document it, there's some information that and context that might have been lost. But now I taking the process back that okay,
Mm.
this time around the technical person might actually be the one using the Obsidian tool, to document it. And the non-technical person work is just like okay, the whole process of we going out there to community, speaking and building these products while documenting each process, it document it in a document like in a normal, like let's say Google Docs, and give it back to the technical person. So upload it in Obsidian tool and again push it to the repo. So during the process of the technical person doing that, it might have seen he will be able to add and take out of it. Because during the process of locking it in, you also have to read it himself. So you can further refine and improve the documentation, and then we could all read it together and find out, okay, yeah, this is good, and we can easily push it. So the why of the tool is like okay, creating the systems, creating a tool that could actually accommodate these people coming together without being chaotic, so that there'll be a smooth process. And then the how is the whole infrastructure of okay, you guys can figure out in your own context how to use it. Do you want to go through your normal Google Docs, or maybe one person impute it, or um, or you have to generate a new kind of rule, because I think this process is generating a new kind of rule that doesn't exist in a team, or maybe equipping and is like maybe updating an existing role into a new kind of role. Like, okay, let's say we need to train a non-technical person that knows how to use Obsidian. So this is kind of a new kind of role. So I feel that's about the whole how and why.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I was looking for a pen to write notes down, but so I want to go a level deeper in this, which is to say, I'll say it. It's two things. One is this tooling is to support your processes,
Yeah.
and the second thing is that the more that, well, maybe it's not so simple, but the the tooling is also, it's not just to communicate to external people like us or the
Yeah.
evaluators when they come into the program, but it's also for yourselves, because as you're bringing all of these people in these teams together and you're all sharing your perspectives onto these systems, which are very complex, the systems of
Yeah.
a place are very complex.
Yeah.
You can organize your thinking in relationship to those systems by using the tooling for yourselves. So the
Yeah.
docs, like you said, you
Yeah.
might have one person writing in this team, another person writing in that team. Maybe at first it was a technical person, and then you realize actually you want to have a non-technical person that knows how
Yeah.
to. So it's all of these different perspectives coming together to observe systems together. Delphi's part of the program is a lot about observation and the learning design. Um, and in that way, as you build out these docs, you'll realize actually this is serving your own journeys. It's not just about communicating it like to external parties, but it's also for us to learn from each other and how we do things. And the key there is that like it comes back to how our approach is about creating the enabling conditions. And so when I said it's about your processes, it's really about your own way of working on your local systems. And that's a long, long journey.
And then, yeah. Yeah. You're able to communicate it better than I am. I get that now.
I've had a lot of practice. Cool.
Yeah.
Is there is there anything you want to discuss? Anything else you want to discuss, or any questions? Is there
No, I
anything? Yeah.
no, I think yeah, I'm still having an issue, but it's not from your side. It's more like Carlos' department. It's more like the technical part.
Okay.
We have not been able to sync the fork repo together. So I and said we are going to fix the core and you can show me how to do that.
Okay.
Right. So
Do
apart
you
from
want
that, I think
to?
that's good. Okay.
He's actually okay. Yeah. In that case, I'll stop the recording here and let's do that as like a second chapter.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do you want to say bye to the recording? Because this, I'm going to share this on the docs and
Okay. Bye.
people. Cool.